Hello, my name is Eric Lee, and it's July 20th, 2022, and my video is pertaining to physics and a very interesting question of what exactly the fabric of our space and time is made from. Um, there are numerous, like thousands of pictures out there that portray sort of like this, where you see, in a two-dimensional way, this massive star or planetary body distorts this um, fabric of space. The lattice work, which is um, what it's made of, is unknown, apparently. Um, and it has to be, um, I think, gosh. Hello, my name is Eric Lee, and the date is July 20th, 2022. And my videos about physics, and I just have some questions and perhaps some answers, although they're theoretical, uh, based on the findings, the latest findings that physicists have found through like the Hadron Collider and things like that. But one of the things I wanted to um, note was like the very simplistic idea of the distortion of space and time, as they call it, in general relativity, and how it relates to quantum physics. Uh, Basically, what I'm getting at is what is distorting, what is the fabric of our space and time? What is it made from? And how does it distort? Is this a true depiction of what's going on? And you'll see through my explanation that it is a very simplified, maybe perhaps oversimplified perspective of what's going on with the distortion of space and time, as they call it, because um, there has to be a sea of particles to hold, um, to distort space and time, to hold our sun in place, for instance, in our solar system, and have all these planets circling around in elliptical fashion, and to even have the elliptical plane. Basically, all the planets are arranged um, in like a disc type pattern, except I think it's Mercury. And I mean, there's not much deviation from that plane. And then the existence of astronomical units is also another um, question that comes to mind. And there are other experiments that I'll point out, and even the speed limit of uh, the speed of light itself. So, um, yeah, it's pretty complicated questions, uh, but I think we're getting closer to answers because, like, through the Hadron Collider, they're finding out there are like particles yet to be detected that are so small we don't have the instruments to detect them yet. Um, so I saw this one physics documentary, and it stated that first it stated Aristotle, and he said Aristotle said something like, I'm paraphrasing, he said something like, nature abhors a void or nothingness. And they're pointing out the fact that, well, space must be just a vacuum of nothingness. and only matter and antimatter pop in and out from seemingly nowhere. And then I was like, well, where is this nowhere? Well, obviously, it has to be a sea of subatomic particles or energy or potential energy, however way you want to look at it. In this equation of Newton and Sir Isaac Newton and Einstein, energy is uh, mass. Uh, and this Isaac Newton's formula for the force of gravity, um, you'll see like this sea of subatomic particles must obey certain aspects of a gravitational um, distortion or force or whatever you want to call it. Uh, because, okay, one candidate would be like dark matter, which makes up roughly 24, 23% of our seeable, well, not seeable, you can't see dark matter, I'm sorry. Uh, but basically, they know that, or they guess that through its effects that they see on spiral galaxies and their rotation, that it makes up probably about 23 to 24% of our known universe. And dark energy makes up about 70 some odd, I can't remember the exact figures. I'm doing this off the top of my head, by the way. So excuse any uhs and and does, but anyway, uh, basically, yeah. That's my main question: is what is the fabric of um, space and time? What is it made from? It has to be a massive sea of particles. And this documentary that I just mentioned said that space was full of nothingness, and that's not possible. Um, uh, you see, okay, one example, okay, the spiral galaxy. It has this uh, black hole in the center of it, and then you see these arms that are rotating around this galaxy, and these are basically like eddies, or like if you want to refer to like fluvial or water dynamics, you have to have a massive amount of like water there or material that creates these forces to create these eddies or arms, and it just sucks kind of towards the center and disappears into this um, hole or black hole in this sense. And anyway, um, where are these particles perhaps coming from? Well, there's billions of black holes as they've discovered in this universe, and they seem to me like they're crushing matter into its most basic form, and it's like a cycle, just like your kid learns about the water cycle. You know how it goes from the clouds, well, from vapors into clouds, and then it rains down, then it soaks into the ground, then it turns into vapor again, it goes out to the seas and turns into vapor again. And so you get what I'm saying. And my own personal theory I have is called the Multiverse Leakdown theory. And it can, this thing that I've come up with, or this idea in theoretical physics, as you might say, it it fits in with the current model of the Big Bang, or you can say it can stand on its own too in certain respects. But I'm not here to disprove anybody else's theories or whatever. But just I'm just trying to pose some questions that are unanswered and very interesting. And I think I have a solution or a model that basically can explain some of these things, and it pertains to also time, the why time exists, how it works, and hopefully in my next video I can explain a little better what I'm talking about. I know it seems kind of weird what I'm proposing, or maybe not if you kind of get what I'm saying. It can't just be this a void of nothingness. If you have nothingness, then there's nothing to distort. So the distortion of space has to be a sea, an entire huge amount of subatomic particles or energy, potential energy, that surrounds our planets and stars. And For instance, like maybe these particles gravitate towards any type of huge mass as a star and forms compression rings around and it starts to layer around the the planetary body, and it creates um, a compression of matter. I have a kind of like a conceptualized diagram of it. So when these particles surround a star or a planet, it starts, yeah, compressing all the matter and distorts space and time. And this is on a 3D scale that I'm trying to demonstrate. And at the center, before I finish this video, what could be happening is quantum tunneling. And little tiny bits of atomic particles are being um, crushed out, basically, or compressed out, you might say. Just imagine, like, okay, you have a sectional part of the crust of the planet to the center, and let's say this is the crust of the planet, and this is the very center of it, uh, the very, very center of a star or planet, and um, and let's say it's filled with gumballs, and all these gumballs are here, all these gumballs, millions and billions of them, millions and billions, billions of them, and uh, what would happen is these particles or these gumballs would smash, and it would start squeezing out um, the from the sheer compression. It would start squeezing out these particles or strings or whatever you want to call them, and basically create a subatomic particle that is maybe undetectable. Um, and you have to realize the entire universe is made up of vibrating um, uh, subatomic particles and atomic particles. In other words, the whole universe has a frequency of vibration. The atoms that create our whole universe, everything, has movement and vibration. And what I'm proposing is that this very small particle that is yet to be detected, um, and perhaps it is dark matter, I don't know. This is what is forming the distortion, or that is what is being distorted, I should say. and creates gravity as we know it, and it also obeys certain laws of gravity as is observed by physicists. Uh, and this particular particle has an entire different frequency of movement, or no movement, perhaps, in a sense of any kind of vibrational frequency, uh, and therefore it is quite in its own multiverse. So, anyway, that's an interesting proposition I'm making, and my theory is called the Multiverse Leakdown theory, where particles start in its very most basic form, and um, they leak through a permeable um, multiverse barrier, and depending on how they're perturbed or disturbed by other outside variables or maybe internal variables within that multiverse, they convert to other matter, which I showed you through, Einstein's um, equation and Sir Isaac Newton's equation, and a similar or the exact same type of idea has been proposed by one of my favorite physicists around right now. His name is Dr. Michio Kaku, and he's the one of the main proponents of a string theory. And so basically, yeah, I'm sort of like saying the same things, maybe in a sense, maybe in a slightly different way. I haven't really studied his theory in depth or anything like that, but he calls it like the God particle, and and such. So anyway, this is the end of my video, and um, it's very interesting to consider. Uh, this giant sea of particles that cause this compression and distortion of everything around us. And let me add one more thing: is the human eye is spherical, so basically, it's evolved or designed, whichever view you want to take, to basically compensate for this compression or distortion of matter around us. That's another thing to consider. But anyway, it's all very interesting, and hopefully um, you guys like what I'm saying, and I'll make some more videos to show, uh, in a very more maybe simplistic way of explaining what's going on with this universe, and maybe it's a new perspective. Uh, and anyway, have a good day, and uh, thank you very much for listening to my crazy theory. Bye bye.